So you think you have what it takes to find the Fountain of Youth and incorporate it into a towering mansion? Well, are you ready to spend at least a dozen hours building this? If the answer is yes, then let's dive in. Let's see what materials you need to build something like this. All in all, just the house without the adjacent building or anything inside cost me 70 builder toolkits and 70 improved toolkits. If you don't want it to be good looking and are okay with something like this, then yeah, sure, that'll be just builder toolkits that you can craft at the very start of the game. But if you want something fancier like this, you will need an improved carpentry workbench, which will set you back 1 log, 2 copper ingots, 2 split logs, 6 small sticks and 2 lantern ropes. The copper is the problem here, as you will have to travel to another region for it, won't get that much, and you'll need it elsewhere to progress in the game. Still, 2 copper sounds more manageable than 70 iron logs from the Iron Island that you would need to create 70 improved toolkits. However, I was able to collect the iron logs much faster than crafting copper ingots in my playthrough somehow. You will also need to build charcoal piles, smelter and forge in order to make copper ingots, which require quite a bit of resources too. Then after that, I have 6 large wooden boxes in my house, 1 iron chest, plus the storage in my canoe. Then if you want to make a bed instead of sleeping on the floor all the time, which you might want because it helps you restore health better, you'll need 2 copper needles, 2 dried animal hides, 2 linen fabrics, for which you'll need to plant and grow some flax in your farm plot, 2 feathers and 4 wooden planks. Every improved workbench will also require wood and some variation of a rare resource like clay, iron or copper. As you can see, it takes a very long time to build something like this, but it's a fun thing to do over the span of several evenings. If that's your kind of pastime, here's the breakdown of the less obvious things you'll have to account for. Let's start from the simplest things. When you have a hammer, put it in a weapon slot and take it out, and then click middle mouse button, you get a quick access to house objects, but you won't find any of the storage boxes here. To start building, you'll need to place at least 1 foundation piece, and that will allow you to build floors, walls, or anything else. You can build more than 1 foundation piece, but do not disassemble them as you'll delete your house this way. When you're building, you will see these numbers. It's the structural integrity system. This overlay will pop up when you hold a hammer in your hand. So the foundation piece always has 3. Every part that you attach to it will have 2, and the piece after that will have 1. This means that the next floor would be a 0 and you can't build pieces with 0 integrity. So you cannot build 3 floors away from the foundation piece unless you build a wall. If you do, you'll be allowed to add 1 more piece on the opposite side and then another wall to close it up. But you won't be able to build any roofs over that addition unless you replace some of the floors with foundations. Weirdly enough, this does not seem to be a problem for building up, so you're free to build a skyscraper if you wish. Every piece that you build requires a builder toolkit. To get that, you will need to build a carpenter workbench. 1 log makes 4 toolkits, and you will need to find mahogany trees because only they will break into logs when you chop them. Let me show you how they look and how to put logs into the workbench for processing. And you'll need a saw for that, but it doesn't have to be equipped. I recommend that you don't build the log cart and instead bring your workbench to the forest, because you can put all the processed wood into your pockets or a regular cart, which would be more efficient, but you can't do that with the logs. And yes, half logs or hollow logs also go into your pockets. And so the most efficient way to chop down trees and transport the logs to the workbench is to just click G on the workbench, then move it closer to the trees you want to kill instead of breaking your back with logs. Then chop them up, move the bench again until you exhaust the trees or your inventory is full. You can collect twigs from the trees before you chop them, of course. Just so you know, twig storage doesn't work like your regular chest or box, and you just drop your twigs and long sticks from your inventory into it. But it seems the game cannot see them when you're crafting or building or starting campfire, so you will have to manually pick them up from this storage. As concerns location, I chose this place just because the devs obviously had that in mind. They had already placed some foundations here, so I figured it will be easier to start building out. In this game, you can fast travel from docks to docks, so it doesn't really matter where and how many bases you build, as long as it's close to water and has enough resources to sustain you and your base, like food, for example. And my house is pretty simple too. You might be wondering how I built a deck here under the balcony. It seems that the game has different collision boxes for objects or different collision priorities, so when you try to build a wall over the docks, it won't work, but if you first build a wall and only then the docks, then it works. It's similar with other objects, like with this bookshelf. And that's all I have for this game in terms of base building. It's not that complicated, but it's very diverse. I just wish there was a paint in this game to really personalize it. Overall, I am very happy with how much effort the devs put into base building, as the game would definitely not be as fun without it. If you haven't yet, check out my tips and tricks video or the video about why I find this game so much fun, and subscribe for more guides on games just like this, guides that respect your time.